Police officers and first responders wear badges to let their communities know they are here to protect and serve. But it comes at a price. Samantha Horwitz and John Salerno work with police departments across the country to bring valuable recovery, insight resources, and workshops. A Badge of Honor TV brings those professionals to you so we can come together and revitalize communities through a better understanding of what's at stake and what's required for repair. So take a load off and turn up your TV. It's about to get real.
Hey, welcome to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam on your Mental Health Monday, man. We are brought to you by the OBBM Network. You can catch us on all your streaming platforms. Some new ones that Sam's going to maybe talk about soon. But what's going on, Sam?
Hey, it is busy time in the world. And yes, thank you, John. We are launching it's not a new podcast, it's our show, but it's through Spreely. So however you listen to podcasts, you'll be able to continue to listen, and just appreciate everybody downloading all of our episodes and listening. So it might look a little bit different, but it functions the same. So if you're StreamYard, I mean, if you're Spotify or iTunes like that, you'll still be able to find us. We also have our live comment stream that is open. So hopefully across all platforms, you will be able to see that. Hey, Rumble. Hey, OBBM. Hey, Instagram family. Hey, X. Hey, YouTube. Hey, LinkedIn. We love our LinkedIn family. Hey, Facebook. Thank you so much for joining us. Give the thumbs up wherever you're watching. Just give a like, subscribe. But again, that live comment stream is open. So as we talk to our guests this evening, if you all have questions, please go ahead and submit that and we'll answer them to wake up and be like, wait, what?
I want to get into it a little bit,
bombing Iran.
Before anything, before we start the show, I want to dedicate today's show, A Badge of Honor, to our four dedicated hero servicemen who so valiantly gave their life for our country in this fight with Iran. I heard a podcast today, and with all these people screaming about what President Trump did, President Trump, you are protecting the American people, and God bless you for what you're doing. And please, I know he doesn't listen to the rhetoric around, but with all the rhetoric that's going around on the other side, we haven't had a draft since the Vietnam War. Every one of our military members, when they signed up to protect and serve our country, this is what it's about. Sometimes that ticket comes due, and it's sad that we lose lives, but we all are there to lay down our life for the life of a stranger, and that's the United States of America. So God bless our military. God bless every single member. We stand strong with you. We'll battle with you, and we pray each and every night that you're safe, and thank you for keeping us safe. So, Sam,
and let's not forget the families. Let's not forget the families.
The families who are probably, at the edge of their seats every minute of the day, their heart pounding out of their chest. I can't imagine what they're going through, but just know, hey, and for the families, there is peer support. There are groups and counselings. There are networks out there that you can share your feelings with throughout your community. Get with some of those military families and share this way, because this is it could get to be a little rough. So we want you to be mentally healthy as well. So sign up. It's nothing to be afraid of. And you'll be able to talk through some of these fears and some of these anxieties that you're going through, so you're not alone.
Yeah. And speaking of getting mentally healthy, our guest tonight, boy, she has a very interesting story. From a military background, has traveled all over the world to follow her dad as he moved, and we'll talk about how that influenced her. But she's done 20 years as a first responder. She has seen a lot, heard a lot. She's worn many hats. We're going to talk about how that has shaped her. She's a national speaker. She gets what it takes for departments to provide a robust system of wellness for our first responders. So without further ado, let's bring on Danielle Schwarz to A Badge of Honor TV. Welcome, Danielle.
Hey, welcome, Danielle.
Oh.
Can you hear us?
I think you're muted.
All right. Oh, yep, there we go.
Hello, hello. Thank you very much for having me on.
You bet. We're excited to hear about your background. So tell everybody watching and listening on their favorite podcast app a little bit about you.
As you had mentioned, I have been a first responder for 20 plus years at this point. And as you had mentioned, my dad was in the military, in the Army, so we did move around quite frequently. And growing up in the military environment, I knew that I wanted to give back, but the military wasn't where I ended up. I ended up going down the path of a first responder. I got started in my freshman year of college at SUNY Potsdam with the Campus Rescue Squad. And from there, it just kind of evolved. In every career that I've had, it's been a career of service and giving back to people. I have gone through nursing school. I've been an EMT. I've done firefighting, and I just finished 8 years on the floor of dispatch, and now I'm up on the front end of the building where I have an opportunity to work with the public a lot more. I'm no longer just the faceless, nameless voice in the middle of the night, but I'm actually able to get out with the public and talk to people about what they actually need, what's going on, how things are impacting them. We've seen a huge shift in attitudes toward first responders over time. We're expected to have this impenetrable cape when we come into being a first responder. We're expected to not have anything get to us. But if you think about it, the average civilian endures maybe 2 to 3 critical incidents throughout their entire life. Over a 20 to 25 year career with a first responder, they're enduring numerous critical incidents a shift, a week, a month, a year, up to 800 over the course of their career. And we still have this mentality of, well, suck it up and deal with it. If you can't deal with this, then you're not made for this. And that's where I'm focusing a lot of my efforts with turning the narrative from suck it up and deal with it to you're a human being. It's okay not to be okay. If some of these things didn't get to you, I'd be more concerned that you're a sociopath.
That is a fair, valid point. As we have seen both sides, and unfortunately, when somebody suffers, I'll say suffers in silence, doesn't let the stress out, and it just builds and builds and builds. Either we see them collapse from a health issue, or God forbid, we've seen it, the rampage, and that usually doesn't turn out very well.
Right. And when you talk about first responders enduring maybe 800 critical incidents per year, me and Sam and the Badge of Honor have focused on our 911 dispatchers, because for the longest time, 911 dispatchers were really the stepchildren of the first responders. And they never got their just due, what they're supposed to, what the first responder status. It was just, oh, you're just a dispatcher. No, that's like saying you're just an ambulance driver. No, those are terms that you don't use. You're an EMT, you're an AMT, paramedic, whatever it is. You're a critical incident manager for the 911 dispatch system. How many calls, and I know each vary, but like in yours, how many calls did you receive per night?
It would definitely vary based upon, I always stuck to overnights. So we have Cornell University Ithaca College and then a community college in the county.
Ooh.
So it really ebbs and flows based upon whether college is in session, if it's the beginning of the semester, if it's the end of semester. So it really and truly varies. There could be shifts where the phone did not stop, or we're on 12-hour shifts right now. So
Wow.
7A to 7P or 7P to 7A. And you could go the entire shift and never leave your desk once. So
Wow.
we are literally tethered to our desks unless we have a wireless. But even then, if you think about the way that emergency service dispatcher has been viewed, it's always been classified as more secretarial. Oh, you answer a phone.
Mhm.
I do a heck of a lot more than answer a phone. I am the first point of contact with somebody who's having their worst day.
Exactly.
I'm on the phone with somebody, walking them through CPR on their loved one while you're trying to get there. You can be doing CPR on the phone with somebody for 20 minutes if you are in a rural area.
Yep.
Mhm.
And you add in weather conditions and traffic. People don't always heed to emergency vehicles. So for the general public to not understand how things can take a toll on emergency service workers across the board is just kind of mind blowing. And especially how hard the 911 dispatchers have fought to be recognized as a first responder, because we're truly the first responder that makes contact with that person.
100%. You
Oh,
are 100%
Yep.
right, and yeah, I'm glad that we're talking about this tonight, because the public needs to know, as a 911 dispatcher, like where the brain goes and how everything works when you click that, the recordings on 911. What's your emergency? We'll talk about that and much more when we come back from our first break with Danielle Schwarz. Stay tuned, everybody.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US based, because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Hey, John, when was the last time you got a free month of mobile service?
I've never gotten a free month of mobile service.
How about discounts for being first responder? No,
No.
it's one of those big 3, right?
Yep.
That a lot of us have our mobile service with the big 3. The difference with Patriot Mobile is they recognize us as patriots. Just like Danielle said, we got to recognize all first responders, dispatchers. If you go to Patriot Mobile, 972 Patriot, use promo code BADGE, tell them a badge of honor sent you. You tell them you're a first responder. Not only do you get your first month free, you get a discount on your mobile service. So if you've got a family, sign them all up. You get a family discount because you are a first responder. Veteran family, current active service member, active family, same thing. Take advantage of Patriot Mobile's give back program, patriotmobile.com/badge, or call 972 Patriot. Use promo code BADGE, not only for a free month of service, but get a discount on your total mobile service. Now back to the show.
Yeah, I'm just going to say one more thing to those people. You can keep your phone. You keep your phone.
Yeah.
You keep, and they are the same cell towers that the big 3 use. So you're paying for all these fees when you shouldn't be. Patriot Mobile eliminates all those fees. Use the same cell service, same towers, keep your phone.
Absolutely. And your money goes to good causes, like
Correct.
supporting organizations that give back to our veterans and first responders.
Yep. So welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam. We have Danielle. She's been over 25 years in the first responder field, from fire, EMS, and dispatch, 911 dispatch. And we were discussing the roles of a dispatcher, and before we left, we were talking about the amount of calls, and I'm thinking how many times my phone rings a day with spam, right? And I could just swipe right, and just hang up on the toll or the spam call, now imagine you had to answer every single call, and every single call there was a horrific issue on the other end. What would that do to your mental mindset each and every day when you hang up the phone from one call, another call comes in? It is something that I've never done, so I couldn't even comprehend the stress in that, because like I said, spam calls, and I get stressed going, but you don't get a break. And for the amount of calls you guys take, what do you guys do within your group? Because I know you guys are such a tight-knit group. What do you guys do within your group when someone has a stressful or a critical incident, to decompress for those few minutes and then get back to the professionalism of the job?
I wouldn't be honest unless I said gallows humor is huge in our dispatch center. So when I was on my shift, there were 3 of us. And basically, if something bad were going to happen in the county, it was going to happen on our shift. So we had a state DOT plow truck into a house.
Oh
we had lots of different things, but every time I would answer the phone, if I were on the fire desk, they would just cringe. The rest of the room just knew that crap was going to hit the fan.
Mm-hmm.
So we very frequently would have shift dinners where we would know that it was going to be a Friday night and it was going to be really busy. So we would do something as simple as make lasagna and then eat together. We would invite in the sheriff's department and then some of the other local departments. And without really realizing it, having the contact with the units that are outside helps provide some kind of closure, because our brains are wired. The information voids that we have, we are going to substitute that void with worst case scenario. So if you don't know what happened with a call, we're going to think it's worst case scenario.
Right.
So having the closure helps. Officers have the capability after a really bad call, they can go car to car and they can talk it out.
Right.
Dispatch, we are confined in our walls. We can't leave the building. We can't do a lot of the different things. And we don't have that capability to even do an informal debrief with the fire, the EMS, the law enforcement, because we're not actually on scene. So we have to rely upon what the caller is describing to us. Sometimes it's vastly worse than they presented it. And sometimes the first responders get there and they're like, this is not what you told me I was going to. So there's like a big brother, little sister kind of dynamic when it comes to dispatch and then field responders, because it's like, well, why didn't you tell us this? I wasn't told. Mm-hmm. And that's why we like having new first responders come in and sit with dispatch. We plug them in so they actually get to hear what we go through. And I think that's very eye-opening for different disciplines. So when we start in dispatch, we go out and we do ride-alongs to understand what it's like. we can see what the camaraderie is like in these different departments. And when they go to a call, how they have the capability to do that debrief. And even when there are official debriefs, how many organizations actually include their dispatchers, or are they out of sight, out of mind?
Point taken, point taken. You know, we had talked about a very interesting development, and it is in the development stages before we came live tonight, that, you know, you say you go on ride-alongs to understand, and I think it's wonderful to have the police officers sit with you to do some dispatch work so they understand as well. The understanding of things are going to possibly get melded together. We got to take our next quick break, but when we come back, let's talk about that Motorola thing that they're going to do, leaving people in kind of a cliffhanger here. We'll be right back with the Motorola thing, folks. Stay tuned.
All right.
Look, when you need to respond to an aggressive situation to protect yourself, your family, or your property, understanding your firearm and legal position are critical. Officers know your skills are only as good as your commitment to training. So know what you're doing. So when you're in a vulnerable situation, we can count on your response. Whether you're a beginner or a licensed gun carrier, Carry in Texas offers basic firearms training, Texas permitless carry courses, license to carry, and basic 2A courses so you can understand the responsibilities, situational awareness, and learn the technical skill required when you carry your firearm. Go to carryintexas.com to find the right course for you. Join me, former United States Secret Service agent Samantha Horwitz, on the range for beginner basics, LTC prep, and range practice. Go to carryintexas.com today. That's carryintexas.com.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam, with our special guest, Danielle, first responder for over 25 years, military background. You know, we were talking about your 8 years as a dispatcher and the mental toll that it does take on all of our dispatchers across the country, and what the things that you do to help relieve that. With you get no closure, and some of your officers come up, so that's great. But now they're adding another element to your, you know, right now it's all audio, you know, so you're hearing everything. But tell us about what Motorola plans to do. I don't know if it's to aid your job, or I don't know what the repercussions are going to, I mean, like the effects it's going to have on some of these dispatchers. We're going to
talk about it.
Yeah.
So Motorola has the technology that some agencies are already using, where the public is going to have the capability to not only text 911 if they can't actually make a call, but they're going to be able to send in pictures, send in previously recorded as well as live stream videos to dispatch. So no longer are they just going to be ear witnesses to things. They're now going to be seeing things. And I think that's a double-edged sword. So I am really concerned for what that's going to do to the mental health of our dispatchers. And I also understand the other side, that it presents an opportunity for officer safety or first responder safety. So it's kind of a toss-up.
You know, I could see the benefits in a real emergency, where it could help. But then I could see the abuse side of that aspect as well. You know, I'm sure you get a lot of nonsense 911 calls. So this is just one more nonsense thing. So I hope they were able to work something out where it balances out a little bit, where you don't get the freak show, but you get the true emergencies, you know, because there are, you know, you do have some crazy people out there that, you know, dial 911 for everything, but, you know.
I'll play devil's advocate here. So we talked a little bit about earlier in the show, Danielle, how, and we've heard this from doing our workshops with with dispatch, that it's the brain will always, because your hearing will always send you into the worst case scenario because you don't have that closure, unless the police officer comes and tells you what happened. So with the ability to have some sort of video, do you think it might be helpful in that it might prevent for some people, like their brain going to the unknown or making stuff up that may not have happened because they've got the context of the phone? I'm hearing a little bit of feedback, but they've got the context of the camera.
I think it's going to be case by case, in all honesty. I think that the additional information that could be available could be very advantageous. But again, you're only going to have the perspective of what's available in that camera lens. So you're going to have like horse blinders on, so you won't still be able to see the full picture. My argument's always been, if a dispatcher takes that call and they see a family member's card that's flipped over, what if it's a friend? How is that going to impact them, and how is that going to change their decision making matrix? How is that going to impact? Because would you rather not know the specifics of things in that situation, or would you be okay with it? And if you think about, you can have 6 people see the same exact incident, but they're going to come away with different perceptions. So based upon their life experiences, there are some people that are not going to be fazed by anything. But then you've got the other individuals that they wanted to be a dispatcher because they don't want to see this. So not only are you going to have individuals who have prior lived experience with, let's just use a domestic for an example. So think about a dispatcher that is taking a call for a domestic, and they've got a young child on the phone who can't really articulate things. So they stream it instead. PTSD is very unique in that you can hear something or experience something once and it doesn't affect you. But there can be something completely innocuous that just triggers it. So it could be a name, a sound, it could be anything. So what's to prevent that dispatcher from being triggered and having a panic attack or an anxiety attack because they see things now? Just because we aren't there doesn't mean that we're not going to be traumatized by it. That's a huge misconception. Well, you just heard something on the phone. Why is it bothering you? You didn't see anything. You still heard things. You still heard the agonal gasping. You still heard the gut-wrenching screams.
You bring up a great point, Danielle, and this is where a lot of civilians forget that all first responders are human beings. This is a job, right, that they took, they love, they do their job, and they do it well. But they do have lives on the outside. So, I mean, I would be remiss to think about, there are dispatchers along with first responders that are also, when they get off the job, are in domestic violence situations at home, right? Maybe they just experienced a bad car wreck last week. Their houses go on fire. So all these emergencies that are coming up, could impact them on a personal level as well as, a job level. So they're getting hit by both things, especially with the domestic violence aspect. You get a dispatcher that has maybe been, in her teenage years or in her, early 20s, was abused in some way. And now she's hearing those same screams. That's got to be heart-wrenching to continue that call.
It is, and it definitely can be. One of the other aspects of my job is I make all the recordings for discovery for the DA's office. So I hear the worst of the worst, and it can be very triggering for different people in different situations. And if you think about a first responder, there's something called ACEs, or adverse childhood experiences.
Yes.
if you look at most first responders, they have a high number of those adverse childhood experiences. So without knowing it, they're bringing things in to the career with them. And if you look at first responders as a whole, how many dip their toes into dispatch, fire, and EMS? How many of our police officers are military veterans? So at the very beginning, we were giving a moment to those in the military that are impacted by things. We also don't serve our veterans very well when we bring them back from the front line and just drop them back into society and basically good luck.
Yeah.
And you expect them to adjust. That doesn't.
Now, in your 8 years there, did you have peer support, or did you do peer support in those 8 years?
That's a great question. And I was just going to touch on the peer support, because you're a peer support team lead as well as CISM. Let's talk about that when we come back from our next break. Stay tuned, everybody. We'll be right back. All right.
Interested in starting a podcast or TV show? Worried about what you'll say and how to keep it engaging? Think you'd like to be a guest on podcast, radio, or TV shows? Hi, I'm Susan Hamilton, owner and founder of OBBM Network, and I would like to invite you to an OBBM media training to get the tools you need for a relaxed and polished performance you'll be proud to share. Our specialized training techniques include role play, voice training, and everything you need to deliver a confident, clear, and engaging interaction. Go to offbeatbusiness.com. Go to the calendar and register for a training that's convenient for you. Dates available now, 214-714-0495.
Hey, welcome back to A Badge of Honor TV with John and Sam and our special guest, Danielle Schwarz. No T, Schwarz. Danielle, before we left, before our last break, we were talking about the dispatchers and what that job encompasses, your first responder experience throughout your lifetime, your military background, and everything that's led up to this moment in time. When we've done workshops where, some of these dispatchers have never had peer support. They just alienate them from peer support unless you have a really good chief that's going to let them in with them and get into the workshop. When we talk about peer support, we have our police officers, and when a police officer has an issue, we call SWAT, and SWAT comes in to save the day, right? We have our heroes saving our heroes. Our peer support group are our heroes saving our heroes, in the mental health aspect of it. What got you into saying, hey, you know what? I need to start helping on now a higher level?
That is a very traumatic story that I'll just give very brief highlights. Between personal and professional, when I left the dispatch floor, I ended up being diagnosed with severe PTSD, anxiety, and depression. In January of 24, I lost my uncle, a Navy veteran, to suicide. And as is commonly said, nobody saw it coming. And I realized I was spiraling further and further. And I was told, well, we have EAP. Well, I do not have a high opinion of EAP, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So I realized that there weren't the resources that I needed, which meant there weren't resources for anybody else around me. So instead of focusing on how broken the system was, I wanted to take on, how can I fix it? So I was given the opportunity to attend a post-critical incident seminar with NILEAP, the New York Law Enforcement Assistance Program. Going in there, I was the only one with a dispatch background. And I felt like I did not belong. And when you go through the PCIS all of us have to go around the room and tell our story. I sobbed through my entire story. I could not look up. And then we ended up having to take a 15-minute break. I didn't realize how traumatic my normal day was in comparison to everybody else's normal. So I came back from that PCIS and I told my director, I want to start peer support. We need to do something. Thankfully, our agency has not been hit by a first responder suicide, but if we're going to have an honest conversation, it's only a matter of time.
Right.
So instead of taking a reactive approach, we need to take a proactive approach. So we need to meet people where they are and give them culturally competent resources. So you can't throw a first responder in with a therapist that has no idea what first responders do. Mm-hmm. I'm on therapist number 5 because I was giving tissues to my therapist because I had too much for them to handle. That may be the only time that an individual decides, all right, I need some help. They have a horrible experience with somebody, and that could be their one and done, but they could desperately need help. So I was incredibly fortunate to have a partnership develop with Overwatch Peer Support out of NAMI, North Texas. Michelle and Todd came out in October of 24 and did our initial teaching for us. And then from there, Overwatch has evolved with NAMI Finger Lakes, and I've still stayed with NAMI North Texas, and I still work with them when I do training. So a lot of this is getting people to understand that peer support isn't sitting in a circle, holding hands, singing Kumbaya like they think it is. So it's getting people to understand, especially starting at the top. You have to have your leaders supporting, not just, oh yeah, you should go to this. Or peer support is good for a checkbox on an accreditation. That's not what peer support is. So if you look at somebody who is usually a very high performer, they are picking up all the overtime shifts, they're signing up for Cops, Kids, and Toys, all the extra things, and suddenly they are skipping all of the shift meals. They are pulling into themselves where they don't respond to the group texts anymore. They're just turning into a recluse. There's something going on. And if you ask them, hey, how you doing? I'm fine.
Fine.
Don't take the I'm fine. Followed up with, I'm noticing these things, so I'm concerned about you. I'm here when you're ready to talk. And keep showing them that you're noticing things. Keep having that conversation, because you could be that one person that the individual was hoping would reach out to them, and you could be the one that makes the difference for them. Peer support isn't a substitute for therapy, though. That's what people need to understand. It's to help people where they are with lesser things. So you're having marital issues. What first responder doesn't have marital issues? It's the elephant in the room that has to be addressed. What first responder doesn't have marital issues because they get called out at all hours? They are seldom home on time because they get forced because that dispatcher or that officer called in again. And you're the junior guy, so it's on you.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So there are so many things that's so cumulative. And as we said, a lot of these people come in with all of these adverse childhood experiences where they want to be who they didn't have growing up. They want to be the fixer. They want to be the helper. But we hate to ask for help ourselves, because then we're admitting we're human and we can't handle everything. And that can be very, very hard for people to admit.
100%. You were talking about PCIS. Jeff, who's part of our team, talks about his experience, and we had Joseph Greco chime in, and he says, I was there and you absolutely belonged. So PCIS is special in bringing people together and sending them home feeling like they got a little bit of steam out, in a good way. With you taking on additional roles and responsibilities because you want to make it better, you saw a need, you started peer support. You also are a team lead for CISM, Critical Incident Management. Talk a little bit about that briefly. And it's like, for you, is it wearing too many hats that might, have an impact, or are you just like, if I stay and do this, your mission is fulfilled and it makes you feel okay?
I think it's a mix of both. So we are working on breaking my job out into 2 different positions, so I can focus on mental health. So we asked the legislature for that last year, and it was a very tight budget year, so that wasn't granted. So I continue to wear my multiple hats currently, with the hope that we will again ask next year for the next budget where it can be separated out. But for me, it's deeply personal, because I don't want there to be a day where somebody has a need and nobody's there for them.
Sure.
So I will admit I'm a Harry Potter fan. So there is a wonderful quote by Dumbledore that talks about if you only turn the light on. So I want to be that beacon for people, that they know that I've been through the crap. I'm not just a stand on my soapbox and hear me preach, but I can understand what they've been through. And that's where the cultural competence comes in. So ideally, I would love to just do mental health first responders full time, but right now that's not in the cards. So I split myself into multiple different people a day.
You just touched on a thing that me and Sam have always talked about, and Jeff and John and Todd. You said it wasn't in the budget last year, and hopefully it will be in the budget this year. When is mental health going to be one of those top 5 line items, right, instead of being under the toilet paper
and the paper clips
budget and the paper clips? When are they going to start realizing, besides the weapons that we need to protect ourselves and the bulletproof vests and the good squad cars, how about mental health should be within those top 5 budget line items? Those should never be cut, never be disapproved, and more money should be thrown at it. And I just don't get. I mean, some departments it's up there, and we've met those departments that really take a great stand, such as Todd's department. They take a good stand on mental health. But there are so many departments out there that next year. Well, that means an officer is going to go through another battled year without the proper resources they need.
Well, we still see the departments that lose numerous folks to suicide, and they still are, allowing things to slip
happen
through the cracks. One of the things with peer support is also, talking to Todd and everything, you can set up a system where it's like, hey, let's go grab coffee. And, that spurs my mind to one of our favorite sponsors of the show, East Texas Legends Coffee Company, right here in East Texas. And you can go as soon as their shop is done. We'll be able to do some peer support there. Why? Because East Texas Legends Coffee Company is founded by Ben and Amanda Holmes, and it reflects their journey from Ben's Marine Corps service and law enforcement career, overcoming PTSI to finding purpose in ranching. Relocating to an East Texas ranch, they identified a need for a local coffee brand. Now they're opening their first shop in Lindale, Texas. And They are all about inspiring purposeful conversations over coffee. So drink coffee, be legendary. Go to etxlegendscoffee.com. Use promo code BADGE for 15% off coffee and merch. Or you can just scan this beautiful QR code and it will take you right to their page. They ship direct to your house, so, or your department, wherever you are. But like I said, sometimes it's just meaningful to sit down with somebody that just needs to let the steam out a little bit. And thank you, Ben and Amanda, for creating. Can't wait till the shop is open. Maybe we'll do a show from their shop and to see it. So, we talk about them each show, and we show this is the swag.
Well, no, this one.
Well, you have to put that down. I'm representing today.
Still got my coffee in it.
Mm-hmm. But John's drinking the East Texas Legends coffee. So
I am.
Yes. So now back to the show with Danielle. Danielle, it is, you have so much in your background that lends to, being culturally competent, to being able to go in front of, whether it's a city council or whatever political thing you have to go to get to talk about the need in order for the money to be there. And, it doesn't matter where you get your inspiration from. If you want to connect with Danielle, she plays in LinkedIn. So linkedin.com, right, Danielle? That's how we connected, and it was so cool. We have so many. Our Badge of Honor has so many folks in common in terms of treatment. What would you say, to the first responders, whether it's in your department or anybody that you've come across that you work with? Just some parting words. Hope.
I would stress them to remember that it's okay not to be okay, because at the end of the day, we're still human. And we go through, we witness, we experience the worst that human beings can do to one another. You have to find your safe person to talk to. And if you don't have that, then work on creating a program. Reach out to a local NAMI organization. NAMI is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. If you don't have a network that you can reach out to, then reach out to me. I can put you in touch with people. There are a lot of organizations out there that want to help first responders, but you have to be willing to take that first step and say, I might need some help. And that is the most courageous thing that a first responder can do for themselves. It takes a toll on not just that first responder. We try to protect our family members from all the carnage and all that we experience in our line of work. But in trying to protect them, we're also not sharing with them why we are the way we are when we come home.
Yeah.
And that's what vicarious trauma is. Being traumatized by something that you didn't experience, but by hearing about it. Dispatchers get vicarious trauma more than trauma itself because they hear things. So understanding that there is help out there for you, and it does not mean by any means that you are weak, that there's something wrong with you. So take a leap of faith and reach out to somebody.
Thank you so much. For those of you listening on your favorite podcast app, connect with Danielle on her LinkedIn. So it's linkedin.com. Danielle Schwarz, she spells her last name Schwarz. Okay, so you can connect with her on LinkedIn there. She's got a lot of good resources as well. Danielle, thank you so much for coming on, for breaking this down for us, for sharing your experience and the trauma of losing your uncle and how that sent you into a spiral. I think people and the first responders need to understand that it can be, the job sets us up. And then if something happens in our personal life, it just flows right in. So we appreciate you sharing that story and just being real about it. That's what it's about.
You got to get real on this.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the only way you're going to heal.
100%. We will be in touch. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and sharing all the great information.
Absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much for having me on.
You bet. Be safe out there. Take care. This was great. I hope we'll be sharing this out in so many different streams. So if you are watching and you're in dispatch, share it with your network. If you have a friend or family member that's a dispatcher, share this episode with them, because the more connections, the better. We can grow a network to heal trauma, and that's what it's all about. So, we are all over the place, John, and so blessed to be able to have the opportunity to go into the departments to help the first responders there. If your department wants us to come in to do a workshop, it's as easy as going to our website and contacting us through there. We come to you, we set up the day, we can make it look like anything that you want to. We have a curriculum, TCOL credits are involved with that, as well as certificates for your folks. So all you have to do is ask. There's no heavy lifting. We wanted to keep it easy. So like Danielle said, just take the step, be courageous. Yep. It doesn't have to be from you. Let us do that lifting for you. So abadgeofhonor.org for all of that. We have got some upcoming stuff. We are booked out all the way through May. In April, we have got a fundraiser coming up. John, tell us about that. I'll be putting out the announcement on Eventbrite as soon as I get the address to put on Eventbrite, so people know where the heck they're going.
Yeah. April 18th, we're going to be having a casino speakeasy kind of night at the casino where anything could happen. We don't know. Not a murder mystery, but someone may get whacked or may not. But it's all for charity and it's all a lot of fun. It's going to be, the money you win, you can take it over to a spot where you can win prizes and everything else. And it's going to be just a lot of fun, enjoying the atmosphere, enjoying the surprises that may happen. And your donation for that night is going to benefit some first responders somewhere throughout the United States, wherever we can use our resources. So it's going to be money well spent for an amazing night of fun, laughter, and like I said, some surprises.
Yeah. And, be on the lookout for that. One thing I will say is it is limited to 50 people. It's an intimate setting. We want to have a certain amount of tables. We want you guys to have fun, but it is going to be limited to 50 people. So as soon as that announcement goes up, you receive it. You'll definitely want to get in on it. Absolutely. We want to thank one of our partners, Carry the Load, who we have been nonprofit partners with them for a long time. We could not do this mission without them. And we're just so grateful that they take mental health and wellness of veterans and first responders as seriously as they do with all the other wonderful organizations. So thank you, Carry the Load. You'll see that on our website as well. For all the first responders out there, you have got prayer warriors that are praying for for you to come home safe to your families every single night. Thank you for keeping our communities safe. For our veterans, thank you for fighting the good fight that allows John and I to do a show like this every single week. And for our active duty personnel, extra prayers going up. John dedicated the show to the 4 servicemen that we lost May God bless your families and hold you in rightful place in heaven. And everybody that has been called to action, we are praying for you. Thank you for keeping us, our shores in the United States of America, safe. And just take care of business, but get home safe. John, take us home.
No, you said it all. Once again, between you and Danielle, and we need to support each other. We need to rise up. We and be out there for each other. The battles are real, but they don't have to be fought alone. So a badge of honor, check out the resources. You never have to fight that battle by yourself. Until next week, peace.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.
A Badge of Honor podcast is produced for the OBBN Network podcast and protected under copyright law. For content permissions, please submit your request to abadgeofhonor.com on the content page. For OBBN Network programming information, please call 214-714-0495 today.